Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Guys, Dragon might face Shanks' brother for the first time, and if this leads to the defeat of the Revolutionaries, it raises many questions about the true power of this new character and how he fits into the hierarchy of the world's strongest. If Shamrock is really sent to stop the Revolutionaries from blocking Mary Joyce's supply lines, it puts Dragon in a delicate position where he may have to fight an opponent whose level is still unexplored, but who has already proven capable of defeating Loki. That alone says a lot, considering Loki was a giant prince regarded as the most powerful in Elbaf before being defeated by Shanks. This could mean that Shamrock is on a similar level to Shanks himself, or at least strong enough to fight Dragon on equal footing. In chapters 1130 to 1137, we see that Loki was treated as a threat by his own people. He was imprisoned for years in chains made of kairoseki and kept locked inside the Atom Treasure Tree, which is literally the foundation of the Warland Kingdom. This tells us that his power was immense, to the point that an extreme method was needed to contain him. If Shamrock was the one responsible for his defeat, that already places him above most characters we've encountered. Now, if Dragon is forced to face him, it could become a huge problem for the Revolutionaries, especially considering that Dragon usually acts strategically and avoids direct confrontations whenever possible. The relationship between the Revolutionaries and the threat Shamrock represents becomes even more concerning when we remember that Dragon has never been shown in a real fight. There are indications that he is extremely powerful, mainly due to his ability to manipulate the weather and the fact that the world government considers him the most dangerous criminal in the world. However, without a concrete battle to confirm his strength, all we have are assumptions. If Shamrock is strong enough to defeat Dragon, it could mean that he surpasses any other antagonist the Revolutionaries have faced, making this battle one of the most impactful in the entire story. And if Dragon falls, the Revolutionaries could lose their main leadership, which would have a major impact on the narrative. Furthermore, the fact that Shamrock is directly involved with Mary Joyce suggests that he may have deep connections with the world government, or perhaps even with the Gorosei themselves. This makes sense since a character with this level of power would hardly have gone unnoticed for so long without being involved in large-scale events. If he was specifically assigned to stop the Revolutionaries, it indicates that the world government is taking this threat more seriously than ever. This detail reinforces the idea that Shamrock is not just any opponent, but someone who could change the course of history if he manages to defeat Dragon and dismantle the revolutionary organization. In recent chapters, we've seen that the attack on Mary Joyce and the Revolutionaries' interference in supply routes were starting to cause real problems for the Tenryubito. This means that the world government was being forced to react more aggressively. If Shamrock is their definitive response to this problem, then we might be about to witness an event that will redefine the balance of power in the world. If Dragon is defeated, the Revolutionaries may lose not only their most important figure, but also their main hope for change. In this scenario, perhaps Sabo would have to take on the role of leader, but would he be ready for it? Especially considering that he has just escaped an extremely difficult situation against the Gorosei and Emu? All of this makes this battle one of the most important in recent history. Another point worth considering is why Shamrock hasn't appeared before. If he really is as strong as Loki's defeat suggests, why wasn't he sent in previous situations? Perhaps he was kept as a trump card by the world government, reserved only for critical moments. Or maybe he was occupied with missions that have yet to be revealed. There's even a possibility that he avoided direct involvement until now for personal reasons. Perhaps something related to Shanks himself. If he really is Shanks' brother, then his relationship with the Yonko could be one of the key points of this conflict. If this battle does happen, the most likely scenario is that it will take place at a strategic point between Mary Joyce and the supply lines attacked by the Revolutionaries. This could mean that Dragon will have to step out of the safety zone he usually maintains and put himself in a vulnerable position. If Shamrock is as powerful as we imagine, then this fight may not end well for the Revolutionaries. Perhaps Dragon will manage to escape, but with heavy losses. Or maybe this will be the battle that finally shows us his true power, something that has been kept secret for years and could finally be revealed now. Regardless of the outcome, the confrontation between Dragon and Shamrock promises to be one of the most impactful events in history, potentially redefining the struggle between the Revolutionaries and the world government. If Dragon loses, the movement could suffer a devastating blow. But if he wins, it could mean that the world government no longer has as many trump cards as we thought. All of this makes this battle a crucial moment in the One Piece narrative, and perhaps one of the events that will mark the beginning of the end for the Great War that is approaching. Moreover, the recent streak of defeats of Luffy's allies such as Kid and Law brings up an important reflection on the future of the Revolutionaries and Dragon's fate as the leader of this organization. The fall of these major figures in the One Piece world is a warning about the fragility of alliances and the impact of a global war in which the enemy is becoming stronger and more capable of eliminating any threat. For Dragon, times may be about to change irreversibly. First, it's important to note how the defeats of Kid and Law have demonstrated the superiority of the enemies they faced. When Luffy and his allies fought Kaido, Big Mom, and other threats, there was a clear sense that they were growing in power. However, reality has shown that even after substantial growth, some characters simply aren't a match for far more powerful forces, such as Shanks or even the world government itself. Kid and Law, for instance, were among the most dangerous pirates of the new generation, and yet they were defeated by figures like Blackbeard, which leaves a big question about the future of their groups and the goals they were striving to achieve. Kid and Law's defeat brought a direct reflection on the alliance between the Revolutionaries. If great figures like them can be defeated in the blink of an eye, what will happen to Dragon, Sabo, and the other Revolutionaries? Could the fight against the world government and its forces end in a similar tragedy? It cannot be forgotten that Shanks himself, a longtime ally of the Revolutionaries, has already demonstrated his immeasurable power. If he, with his incomparable strength, can deal with figures like Kid, Law, and possibly Dragon, what would be left for the revolutionary movement? The concern over this fragility is even greater considering that, for many, Dragon has always been the central pillar of the Revolutionaries. He has been a mythical figure, someone who always seems to be one step ahead, planning and acting with great caution. However, the lack of direct confrontations involving Dragon so far raises doubts. Is his power really what it's imagined to be, or has he just known how to choose the right moments to act? What would happen if he were confronted with a force as grand as Shanks or his allies? What would happen if he fell in battle against Shamrock, the mysterious new adversary of the world government, a man with the power to defeat Loki, a giant feared in Elbaf? If Dragon were defeated, it would certainly cause a rupture within the revolutionary organization. Sabo, Dragon's right-hand man, would be forced to take command of a movement that would lose its leader. This, however, would not be an easy task. Sabo is still dealing with the consequences of his near-death at the hands of the Gorosei, and he would have to handle an organization in ruins and a much greater pressure to act decisively. In this scenario, the Revolutionaries would need a new strategy. Sabo, if he becomes the new leader, could seek an alliance with Luffy and his crew as their objectives align. The fight against the world government, with their dominance over the seas and various powers around the world, requires a union of forces that may be the key to defeating this oppressive system. Luffy, who has already demonstrated his potential to mobilize allies from all over the world, could then join Sabo in a fight to overthrow the government, once his own brother became the new leader of the revolution. Still, the possibility of a defeat for Dragon and the Revolutionaries should not be ruled out. Shamrock's strength is an even greater unknown, and the combination of his power and his relationship with the world government could prove to be an insurmountable challenge. If he manages to defeat Dragon, the revolutionary movement would likely disintegrate, as the central leadership figure would be lost. This would cause fragmentation within the movement, with different factions trying to reorganize, but lacking the unity needed to face such a strong enemy. On the other hand, there is a great uncertainty regarding the future of the Revolutionaries if Dragon falls. Dragon's figure as a leader has been a symbol of resistance. His fight against the tyranny and oppression of the world government motivated many to join his cause, but his loss would represent a significant loss of moral strength for the movement. Many would question whether it's worth continuing to fight without him, or if it would be time for new leaders to emerge and establish new approaches. The idea of Sabo assuming command, despite the difficulties he would face, also brings an interesting factor. He was shaped by the desire to protect the weak, and his leadership could represent a new form of revolution, more focused on equality and social justice, instead of simply overthrowing the world government. The eventual defeat of Dragon could also mark the end of an era for the Revolutionaries, and a decisive turning point for the war that is about to begin. If Dragon's fall triggers a collapse in the Revolutionaries, the scenario for the final battle against the world government would drastically change. The political dynamics of the world would shift and new alliances could form, possibly with the involvement of unexpected figures, like members of the Revolutionary Army deciding to ally with Luffy or other factions of the world. The movement for freedom, now without a leader, would need someone to carry on its mission of liberation. What do you all think about this possibility? Comment below. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.